in full transparency for the listeners, I was once a ninja. There's going to be we need a term sheet on the website for what all this stuff is. So a ninja at Mark Fisher Fitness is just simply a client, right? Someone who's going to the gym. But again, it's not even a gym, it's a clubhouse. And I would work out in the Dragon Lair. So talk to us a little bit even about that, of this wild idea and this unusual gym you created. Where did this all come from?
Yeah, so I think the super short version is I had a previous life as a professional actor of middling success. And as is the case, even when one has a modicum of success as a theater actor in New York, one has to occasionally fill in the blanks in between gigs and make an income. And throughout my 20s, I essentially developed a parallel career with deep, deep interest in human physiology. And I developed a little bit of a niche specifically working with members of the Broadway community. And over time, I found myself getting more and more interested in not only the fitness piece, but once I discovered entrepreneurship as really nothing more than applied psychology and philosophy, which was my other secret pet interest, I found myself very interested in the possibility of having my own business. It seemed to be there were a lot of interesting parallels between what I had learned as a theater performer, my understanding of the way community worked, my understanding of the way behavior change works. There just seemed to be a lot of synthesis between a lot of stuff I was interested in. So in 2012, we always say that my business partner and I accidentally opened up a strange gym. As you have mentioned, it's a very unusual place. And part of that is because I made it for my friends. It was a love letter to my community, many of whom were Broadway performers, many of whom were individuals that didn't feel necessarily comfortable in many fitness spaces. It was and remains a space of largely women and queer identifying men. And I wanted to have a space where my friends felt cared for and could also get access to really good information. So our tagline is ridiculous humans, serious fitness. So it is a very whimsical and fanciful brand, but we really do our earnest best to really keep up with the research and make sure we're providing the best in class experiences on everything from training to nutrition to even best practices of behavior change psychology, which is an important and related, but very distinct skill set than just the sets and reps of something like training.
Absolutely. I think that is one of the things that once I started going, I was so drawn in by was not just you, like I took a few classes from you, but obviously you can't train everyone all the time. Your ability for your staff to build a common language, and they would be able to dial it up and dial down depending on where someone was, right? Yes. I remember someone really talking about posterior chain if they wanted to, but at the same time, someone else is just using another random term and just like get your butt under or whatever it was, right? And you had this ability to flex even to your audience so people could nerd out. But I think that's also why so many gyms are intimidating is someone is talking about a posterior chain and you're like, what am I supposed to do with that?
Right. It is an interesting art when you're doing it en masse in group because there is a certain type of very intellectual, analytical person that requires something they can really perceive as rigor. But at the same time, for a lot of people, that same approach might come off as off-putting. So I often go back to this concept. You might remember you might know offhand where this comes from. I can't remember the origin of the concept that oftentimes people are looking to assess both personal warmth and competence. Right. So when they're looking at a fitness professional and probably any service provider, any helper profession, you're asking, one, am I safe? Are we safe? Am I comfortable with you? Do you like me? Is there something about you putting me at ease and feeling comfortable? And then separately, and as important, do you know what you're doing? Do you have deep domain expertise? Can I trust not just your character, but can I trust your competence in this domain where I may or may not have any expertise?